Alright everyone, you might have noticed, I love linguistics, and so we're going to study a quote here today. It's something that Donald Trump said the other day. He who saves his country does not violate any law. This is a double entendre. Most people, well, virtually nobody, has actually noticed this. If you're saving the country, you're not trying to violate any law in the process of so doing, or if you save your country, you're not violating any law. Double entendre, attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte, actually. Napoleonic law still in flux partially in the state of Louisiana, which is hysterical to me. Link in the description, archived of course. Fundamentally, Donald Trump is correct. If you are in the process of saving your country, so you're saving your fellow man, let's say from foreign invasion or something like that, or infiltration, it is impossible to violate the law. You're acting in defense of your fellow man. You're acting in defense of men, women, and children from your own country. Well, there's no law to violate because, you've been infiltrated, you've been invaded, or something like that. Likewise, if in the process of not violating any law, you're saving your country, and that appears to be the double entendre that Trump is actually referring to. He's completely screwed around with the minds of his political foes at the moment by simply making this fucking reference. Then, what's the problem? You're not violating any law, you're simply trying to save the country. I think that he is taking up the latter of the double entendre. I don't think that it's the former. As Donald Trump doesn't consider himself to be Napoleon Bonaparte or something like that. No, that's Emmanuel Macron. By the way, the liberal legacy media loves Emmanuel Macron. You will notice that there's a little bit of irony in this, I think. What he's saying is that he's not going to violate the law in order to save the country. He's literally self-limiting. They have a problem with this. Simply because of the person who made the quote, ironically again, a Frenchman, much like Macron, Jupiter, while at the same time obviously taking up an entirely different linguistic tack. Donald Trump isn't violating the law. He's simply throwing shit at the wall and hoping that something sticks, because the system is so shit that shit attracts shit, and he's figuring that probably some of it will, in the end, stick. He seems to be correct. A bunch of activistic judges are attempting to stop him from reforming the system, and otherwise he doesn't have much resistance at the moment. The House Republicans have pretty much demurred. Senate Republicans are on board with him. He's the chief executive. And then he's got a bunch of unelected individuals who are trying to go through things and give advice. It seems to be working. When you throw 100 arrows at a target, it's going to be more effective than trying to snipe the target with a single arrow. If an entire column is firing on a target, some of those bullets are going to hit now, aren't they? Now, it may not be every bullet. Some of them go high, some of them go low, some of them just graze, but some of them are going to smash into the target and knock them to the ground and fucking kill them. This appears to be Donald Trump's idea of internal diplomacy. What he's doing is he's throwing a wall of lead at the opponent, knowing full well that much of it will not hit anything, but that some of it will. And it is Napoleonic. I mean, in a sense, I suppose the comparison is apt. Again, memetics. Napoleon, Macron, Trump, wall of lead. Yeah, it's a little bit mysterious to me at this point as well, and I'm literally an occultist. Trump is fundamentally correct, though. If you are literally saving your country from ruination, if the country has become so decrepit and the system so corrupt that it is no longer capable of plausibly governing, people are overtaxed, people are in poverty, there are people sleeping under goddamn bridges that have served the country with pride, etc., etc., and you come in and you say, these are problems. I'm going to try to address them. And you act as an imperial president in some sense, within the bounds of the Constitution, of course. I wouldn't support anything outside of that and would be the first person to call Trump out if he did so. Within the bounds of the Constitution, and you act within your legal authority to try to address these issues. There's no sin in that. What law are you violating? You're helping people. Possibly many millions of them. What law are you breaking? There are people out there like fucking Schiff and Schumer and all these other morons acting like Donald Trump is doing something terribly wrong. Okay, he's addressing the border crisis. What a terrible, terrible thing. He's addressing crime. Oh, God, that's horrible, because you've got your cocaine yachts. He's addressing foreign diplomacy and trying to prevent war. Wow. I mean, for a Republican president, that is kind of terrible now, isn't it? And so on and so on forth. He's doing the right thing. What he's saying is that he's not going to violate any laws in the process of so doing. He's effectively asserting his constitutional authority under the executive branch, which he has. The fact is that some random judge, does not have, technically, constitutionally speaking, the authority to unilaterally injunct what Donald Trump is doing. It needs to be adjudicated at a higher level. Some random federal judge, usually appointed by Obama or Biden, will come in and say that what Donald Trump is doing is illegal. What he's asserting is that it's not actually illegal at all. When it gets to the Supreme Court, assuming it gets there, that will likely be the finding, because the Supreme Court is a little bit more astute and solemn than some of these federal court justices. I am no fan of far-right politics. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a conservative. But Trump's agenda's not either. That's why I'm comfortable with it. The idea that he's some sort of far-right moralist, oh my God, barefooting in the kitchen women, black people back out in the fields, Hispanics kicked out of the country even if they're legal citizens, that's not reality. That's the whole point. The whole point is that Donald Trump is effectively a liberal. And most people don't even realize this. He's a mild reformer, trying to take us back to a soft reset period in which the country worked. That's why I'm comfortable with him. Nothing more. He's not going to become some Nazi fascist or something like that. He's not trying to be an emperor. He's bringing up a Napoleonic quote. Oh my God. Again, which liberal baby boy has brought up Napoleon explicitly within his meanderings politically? Oh, Emmanuel Macron, who is an adversary of Trump for the most part, and who the liberal media, they see him as a great guy. There's nothing wrong with him. He can declare himself to be Jupiter, and they'll praise him and say, oh, what a great liberal reformer. Donald Trump brings up a single Napoleonic quote, which is a double entendre again, which I don't even know if is canonically related to Napoleon, but it's ascribed to him. And all of a sudden, he's trying to be the next Adolf Hitler. Very, very strange indeed. That's about all. Peace out.